Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Board of Estimate, full board is present. Gentlemen?
And you're
All right.
first on the list.
Item number 1, the Fire Department respectfully requests the Board of Estimate recommend and the Common Council approve a resolution to transfer the following in the 23 Fire Department budget: coats and boots, $5,000, to other equipment to replace a commercial-grade washer extractor used to clean firefighting coats and boots. Costs to repair the unit are prohibitive. Oh, Chief, why don't you come up? And why don't you give us, what are the costs to
repair it,
prohibitive?
the cost to repair it, because they updated it yesterday and sent it out,
Right.
was $7,600.
And the new one's 5,000?
The new one is $5,000 from a different company. This company that gave us the quote to repair it also quoted us for a new one at $11,000 and change. So,
When do we start doing, buying equipment for the firehouse? Isn't it on
This-
the DPW?
I would love for you to take it out of DPW's.
I don't want to come out of coats and boots from the firemen. I'd rather come from where it belongs, out of DPW.
Then it's,
But I'm just saying, when do we
Firehouse
start?
equipment is one
this,
thing.
this is
your buildings.
equipment, this is not, correct. I knew he was gonna say that.
Or a
This
stove?
machine we have now is 23 years old.
Yeah, snow and ice.
Well, the
We didn't have a
stoves,
storm.
are you saying stoves come out of Commissioner of Public Works budget?
Yeah, don't
I
they?
think we saved so much money on salt this year. Due to lack of storms, we could take it out of,
I can take it out of there. I think we'll leave it in coats and boots.
You should have tried.
Should have tried. All
nah,
right.
you gotta already predict the future. You know?
Motion by
So moved.
Massey, seconded by myself. Any questions or comments?
Shame.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Aye. The attached agreement between the City of Middletown and the large school district, purpose of carrying out the school resource officer program for 2023-24. Chief is requesting the Board of Estimate to approve the agreement, authorize the mayor to sign. The original must then be returned to the school district. Motion by myself,
Second.
seconded by Rodriguez. I think it's the same terms and conditions. Chief was unable to make it. And same terms, correct, Leon? Yes. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 3, Maria Bruni is requesting for the Board of Estimate to accept the municipal tourism grant from the County of Orange in the amount of $4,999, and to authorize the mayor to sign any and all documents pertaining to this agreement, and also authorize the treasurer to apply these funds to the Paramount budget line 7011.4. It will be applied towards the Run for Downtown Rock and Roll Weekend and concert at the Paramount Theater. Motion by
So moved.
Massey, seconded by
Second.
Rodriguez.
Can I ask?
Caitlin, is that why you're here? Why don't you get up and speak, and then we'll go to questions?
You have questions?
Well, you're here to speak, right?
Well, in case you had questions, I'm here.
Okay, but you're here.
You have
on-
questions?
You're here on
What a
comp
question.
time, right?
Yes.
So we want you to,
Comp time, there's no comp
Comp time,
time.
it's
we want you to
4:15.
participate in the process.
She
And
got 15 minutes before she's going to overtime.
I do have, by
you
the way,
want me
I do
to-
have a question.
I can talk until after 4:30.
Yeah. Do you have, just why don't you explain what it is and why it has to go to the program that it's designated for in your request?
Okay. So the grant is for, it's an Orange County tourism grant to encourage tourism to the area. We applied for funding to be used for a specific event, which is the Run for Downtown weekend that's going to be happening. So instead of just the race day, the entire weekend is going to be having events. The grant funds are going to be used toward the marketing of this event and any promotional materials that we will be creating.
Thank you.
Questions?
That's a very thorough explanation.
Yeah, any other questions?
Mr. Massey has a question.
I'm just curious as to, no, why $4,999 and not $5,000? Is there,
That was the county's cap.
Oh, okay.
You could only request up to that number. Yeah, we didn't choose that number. We would have asked for more if we could have.
Okay, thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Anything else?
No. You know?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for your time.
Good to see you. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Item 4, please include the attached, somebody said please, geez. Please include the attached proposal on the upcoming Board of Estimate agenda for May 8th from CDM Smith for the reservoir water quality study to ensure the latest treatment techniques and technology are implemented in treating algae blooms, minimizing long-term adverse effects of the city reservoirs. Tweels requesting a transfer of funds in the amount of $135,320 from the debt service balance into water contractual. This is in regards to the ongoing city reservoir maintenance. Motion by
Motion.
Massey, or was that Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Rodriguez. Seconded by
I'll second.
Massey. Mr. Tweel?
So I'm not going to be long-winded, so I'll be short, and then if you need more questions,
The more you talk, the more questions are going to
I
have.
will dig. No, I'll be happy to. I'll be happy to. So traditionally, the city of Middletown, we've been using copper sulfate for the treatment of our of algae to prevent algae blooms in our reservoirs. Every now and then, it happens that we have an algae bloom and we start panicking, and we have poor water quality, and so on and so forth. Copper sulfate has long-term adverse effect on the reservoirs because of copper. It does precipitate to the bottom. It doesn't go away. It doesn't wash out, and eventually it's going to become a problem. There are newer techniques and technologies in there that are out there that we might be able to tap into, such as alum treatment or the new one is hydrogen peroxide, which is the cleanest basically. But it has to be studied. We have to know how much. We have to take samples from the bottom of the reservoirs, and we have to take samples throughout the year, throughout the water column, and test for many things besides what we have been testing for. And for that, we got the proposal from CDM Smith to conduct this study for us and to see what's out there in the amount of $135,000.
I guess my main question will be, say you find something, what is the projected cost of to mitigate this or to switch over to this other technologies?
We don't have that yet, Mayor. That will be part of the study.
So why would we do the study now? Because as you know, we're not taking this from our water fund balance. I met with Leonora earlier that our water fund balance is dangerously low because of some unexpected costs last year. And so is this study need to be timely? I mean, will this study is this study required to be acted upon like in the next several months? You come up with a finding that we're going to switch over to a new technology and we have no idea what that new technology is going to cost. Are we spending $135,000 possibly to do nothing?
No, absolutely. We should have done that, to be honest with you, many years ago. And every year we just keep putting it on the shelf. But as you can see, the weather pattern is changing. We're going to expect to have algae blooms. We are doing our due diligence at the watershed by purchasing the watershed, preserving it and protecting it so we will not have development in there, so we will not have sulfate and nitrogen coming into our reservoirs. But it is something, honestly, that is extremely essential so we know what we're looking at and what our options are. We don't have to do anything. We may have to do it. It could be the alum, if we say alum treatment, it could be one-time treatment, one-time shot treatment, and then you go back to using copper sulfate. But we should go in with our eyes wide open to understand what's happening in our reservoirs, which we really don't. We just use the traditional copper sulfate treatment, and we do our own samples in there in anticipation for algae blooms and try to stay in front of it. And we do the preventative dosage. Every 2 weeks, we apply copper sulfate starting from this coming Monday.
Understood, but should we be slowing down on other capital projects within the water department, like main replacements that require, even with a grant, require a match of funds or some property acquisition? The property acquisitions that we did require I think one property alone is $30,000 in annual taxes. So that's all increasing costs into the water fund. But I don't, sometime the balloon's got to burst, and it doesn't seem like we keep blowing the balloon up, is going to burst one of these days.
Well,
And as you can see, the water fund is not an unlimited fund because we don't have enough in the water fund to cover this expense. Now we're going outside the water fund to cover expenses, and it's a concern, is maybe we're being too aggressive with our long-term water solutions.
I think, I see your concern, I understand it. But I think this study really is way overdue, and unfortunately, we have to do it. And there is more billable coming, right? When is the fund going to be replenished? In June? Yeah, in June, you're going to be billing, and we're going to be replenishing.
Yeah, but that's just for operating costs. It's not replenishing the fund balance. The fund balance is actually negative $80,000 as of today in the water fund.
Now, the other thing you touched on, the purchase of the watershed, that $6 million grant requires a matching fund from us with $20 million. I think that's a great deal, right?
What?
That's a great deal for us, right? $6 million for purchasing our watershed with the matching fund?
All right, go one step further. I don't know what you're saying.
No, is that a good deal for us? I mean,
Well, no, it's a good deal if we can afford to do it. If we were getting all the money, because you have legacy, you have other costs that are associated with. For example, by the $6 million required a 20% match.
Yeah, 20 or 25, yeah.
Right, whatever the number was.
Yep.
But then with it comes annual operating increases. For the one property alone, it's $30,000 of property taxes
Well,
on just the one property alone. So those are additional expenses into the water fund. Now, the water fund is dangerously low, and I expect there's some reimbursements that may come in to help with because we did borrow against fund balance on some of these projects. So I think we just have to be cautious moving forward. I don't want to be too aggressive with some of these projects because I think the long-term effect can be dangerous on our ratepayers, and I don't want to get into where we have to all of a sudden increase rates because we wanted to conduct study after study after study. That's
no, I understand.
my
that.
cautioning words.
I understand, and I
don't know
appreciate.
what Mr. Massey thinks, but he
I
has his
appreciate
hand
that.
up.
All right. Jacob, what's the danger if we don't do it, or is there a possibility of putting it into next year when we might be better off with our fund balances?
Look, someone
You said we
yeah.
should have done it 10 years ago,
Right,
5 years
right,
ago,
right.
3 years ago. And once again, I'm not the expert on it, you are. I'm gathering that it's not something that absolutely needs to be done this year. Maybe I'm reading that wrong.
Yeah,
But
well-
we didn't do it 10 years
Yeah.
ago, or 8, 7, or
Right.
2 years
You
ago.
can, obviously, you can make the argument about replacing water lines, right? This water line the dam needed to be upgraded 100 years ago, right? Why are we doing it this year? We can make that argument about everything, respectfully. I'm not arguing with you. But you can make that argument about every project you do. You're going to do renovation to City Hall. Or renovation City Hall. City Hall has been here for 100 years. Why are we doing it this year? You could have done it 10 years ago. Yes, of course we
That's
could.
what budgets are for. You budget things. You don't just
Right.
at a whim say, I want to do it this year because we need to do it.
Well, you can absorb it. I mean, I guess I had that discussion with Leonora. I don't know if it can be absorbed in the capital budget. It's not part of the operating budget. This is a one-time shot. It's
Understood.
either capital budget or
But it's a
operating
one-time
budget.
shot that the findings may require additional capital money outlay.
But that would be at our choice. It doesn't mean,
No.
look, if there is
But
a
if it's not our
solution.
choice, then why do the study now if we're not in a position to to implement the recommendations of the study?
Because you don't know what the recommendation is going to be. Even if the recommendation were to be very expensive,
Yeah?
for the sake of argument, they're going to be expensive. Well, is there a reason for these recommendations? And if they are expensive, we may have to do them anyway. I'm not saying, I'm just following
I'm
the
assuming
train
you're
of
not
thought.
saying that there's a water quality or a safety issue involved here.
No safety,
Because you
but
say we may need to do them immediately.
yes, but harmful algae bloom
Right.
is a concern.
Which is always a concern, and we've had it in the
And it's
past.
becoming more and more.
Right.
It's becoming more and more of a concern throughout the state, and it is harmful algae bloom. Harmful, it means that it does have, and then we're going to have to panic with the treatment. We just went through that a few months ago, and we had to switch reservoirs, and
All right, well, I guess the purpose of the discussion
down
is to maybe put you on notice that these types of things, we have to put the brakes on some things. Because we don't have your theory of water mains that, are doing City Hall or doing these other things. We can do all these things, we just can't afford to do them all.
Right.
We need to do them all, but,
No.
so we need to prioritize, I think, because the water fund is in a position not to be able to absorb these costs at this point.
no, I appreciate that. If we can't afford to absorb it, then we're done.
What do you mean?
We're done. If we can't afford it, then we can't afford it.
No,
But
I think
but
a
we're
lot
going to
of what
have
you're
money.
saying, replacing a water main is discretionary. The water main's not broken. That's a discretionary object at this point. It's not an emergency.
Right.
So we're not done. Buying additional,
No. I meant we're done
Property.
with this. If you're telling me this study, we don't have the money and blah, then what are we going to do?
no,
We're
I'm
gonna
not
just
saying we don't have the money
We're
for
going to have
it.
to roll with it.
What I'm saying is we're going to a different fund in order to finance this study, which we don't even know. The results of the study may make a recommendation that is not affordable for us at this time. And if the study is
Bad, and
is
it tells the
antiquated, but
DEC,
then we,
then we go in
before
and do it.
when we have the money to do this, to implement the changes, will the study still be fresh? Or we will have to pay another $135,000 to do the study all over again?
No, the water quality is not going to change. We have not done this in-depth study of our reservoirs, for as long as I can remember, or we haven't done it. It should be really done because we're just walking. We're doing a traditional treatment in there. There might be something in there that's much more efficient, much more effective, and it will have less long-term adverse effect on our reservoirs. And that's why. That's.
I'm willing to go along with this, but with the understanding is that we have to put the brakes on some of these expenditures out of the water fund. And now that you have your hands into the debt service fund balance, which is another dangerous condition, because to follow your theory is, my friend is nodding his head, yes, Mr. Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Now that you see that there's money in another fund balance that is usable in the water fund, will you continue to pursue these projects as necessary projects?
Yeah, I'm sure the council president, he appreciates having a commissioner with the foresight to do all these studies in there, so that we will not be blindsided, and eventually be standing there with our sitting on our hands, that we can't do anything. So I'm sure he appreciates the
Well, he can speak for himself if you'd like
fourth,
to add anything to it.
having a visionary commissioner of public works.
Visionary with breaking the bank on the water fund balance.
Your Honor, you know that we're doing investment
I know,
that will
but we
last
have to
for-
live within our
that
means.
will be
as
appreciated.
My father always used to say to me about the balloon theory, but that was when I was a kid. You like to keep blowing up the balloon's going to burst. Well, the balloon burst on the water fund, and the water fund is now in the negative, and we have to rebuild the water fund. I'll go along with the study, knowing that the representations that you're making, that it's a necessary study at this point, with the understanding we may not be able to take the corrective action depending upon the cost
Absolutely.
at this point.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to be mandated by the DEC to do any mitigations or repairs.
No, it will be mandated by us if we find something wrong, which, listen, we're only trying to find what's better for us for long-term usage of our reservoirs, so we have good raw water quality. It's honestly, I mean, we must do it. It's the professional thing to do. It's the right thing to do. I'll be stupid if I don't recommend it to you. Let me put it this way. Shame on me if I did not recommend it to you, with all the things that is happening to us with the raw water quality and the
But to go along with Mr.
harmful
Massey's
algae
theory
bloom.
is then it was shame on us for not doing it for the past 10 years.
No,
20,
eventually.
30 years.
Yeah, eventually, yeah, well, it could have been 50 years. Eventually, you have to somebody has to make the recommendation, guys. It is time to do it, and I'm making that recommendation.
Mr. Massey, do you have any more comments?
I'm just trying to figure out, we're going to spend $135,000 to do a study. If the study comes back and says we have to spend $5 or $6 million, we're not going to anyway.
Why do the study?
I don't understand the reason to
I
do it
understand.
now. I understand that it has to be done maybe at some time,
Yeah,
but
we're not, yeah. Honestly, Alderman,
we
not
just
to-
got finished saying that if it's too expensive to do, we're not going to do it.
Well, it's all a function of the finding at the time. So let's see what we're doing. We're working. Listen, I don't want to be an ostrich, bury my head in the sand and say nothing. That's it. I'm not gonna go to the doctor because the doctor might tell me I need a surgery. I need an open heart surgery. I'm not gonna do it.
No, but
You're
your
not
method-
asking me to do that.
Your method that you're doing now is controlling the algae. You're talking about new technologies.
No.
That will improve it.
Better technology.
Better
because
technology,
the
right.
technology that we have right now,
Understood.
Mayor, is
We-
copper
we may
sulfate,
not
and
be-
copper is not ideal to keep using it for 100
We've been
years.
using it for 50 years, so
I
we have 50
understand
more to
that.
go.
It's the same thing with the, I can make an example about my
But
own body.
I think
with
it
the
would have
cholesterol.
been much better if you came in with an idea of what potentially this study will reveal for us to expend additional money.
It could be, most likely, we can continue to do what we're doing in there, but there might be an interim alum treatment in there. One shot alum, you don't use it every day. One shot alum treatment.
So it
to
might
go
be
blanket-
something minimal.
Yes,
That's
blanket
my
the whole
understanding of what you're saying.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
then that's why,
Yes,
that's the only reason
or
why
it
I'm
could be
going along with
different,
it.
or it could be different technology like hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide right now, people started using it.
What
It's
what
an-
is that?
Hydrogen peroxide.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So hydrogen peroxide, it's a newer
Gotcha, I
treatment in
gotcha.
there. It has legs. It has very good potentials with the papers that are being published right now about treating algae, and it has good potential.
I'm
So
satisfied with the understanding that the study can be productive. It may result in some minimal costs that we may be able to afford, but I can assure you that if it's a exorbitant cost to switch over to new technology, that I don't think we're in a position to do that at this point. But if you're saying the study's going to be productive for us, then I'll move ahead with it.
thank you.
I had a motion by Rodriguez and seconded by Massey. Any other comments? So roll call vote. Mr. Massey,
No.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye.
Thank you.
2-1 vote. Item 5,
I'm still here.
Trio requesting the Board of Estimate the approval to enclose the enclosed recommendation or enclosed engineering proposal from CT Mail dated 4/19/23 for an engineering assessment for the 6 dams at a cost of $135,350. Also requesting to authorize the treasurer to make the following transfer within the water fund budget to cover the cost from health insurance to city dams. For the purposes of discussion, motion by myself.
Second.
Second by Rodriguez.
So
Wouldn't this be part of the capital project?
it's a study, Mayor, to see if we need to do a capital project or not, and the chances are we will need to do a capital project. Those are required by DEC. Every 10 years, we have to update our engineering assessment of our dams.
So I thought we're working on the dams right now.
These are the other dams, I know.
How many dams do we have?
Who gives a damn?
AMU?
You know, we have
Damn
addressed,
problem.
we have addressed the dam on Shawangang. Shawangang Reservoir has 3 dams, which is what we're working on right now. Kench has 1 dam. We're working on that right now. So you have Manhagan has 2 dams, and Highland has 2 dams. So,
10 dams.
So that is
So-
8 dams.
yeah, so now,
But
right
we're
now.
working on 4, so how is the study
So
going to
hold
be
on,
for 6?
hold on. Let me up the. The 3 dams at Shawangang.
Yes.
The engineering assessment was done for them some time ago, over 10 years ago. So now it's time for it. It has to be updated by the end of this year. These are the current dams that we are constructing. So the report cannot be finalized until the construction is completed. DEC will understand that. The deadline for all these studies is the end of this year. So Woodward Dam, that's part of Shuwangang.
Hoover?
What?
Oh.
I'm sorry? Woodward Dam is part of Shuwangang. Greenleaf Dam is part of Shuwangang. Lamson Dike is part of Shuwangang. So these are the three dams. Two of them high hazard dam, and one is Class B. And then we have Manhegan Dike, and then we have Manhegan Dam, and then we have Highland Lake Dam.
Oh, okay, but
So-
to the meat of the issue is, the ones that we're working on now, why can't it be part of the capital project? Isn't inspection part of a capital project?
Yeah, engineering assessment, it explores the idea when the dam breaks, and the dam breaks, it studies the
So it's not
inundation.
studying the dam itself, it's studying
Yeah.
where the dam would go for, where it would go?
It's both, Mayor, it's both. It's both. It's both, unfortunately. So when you look at the breakdown for the engineers in there, it's basically, we're going to do the same thing we've done with the previous dams, go drill holes in there to explore, find where the cores are, find out what condition they are in, the cores of the dam, which is what we have done with the other ones, based on which we submit that to the DEC, and unfortunately, the DEC will say, okay, you have these deficiencies. Give us a schedule when you're going to address them. And we have already given them schedule a couple of years down the road from here, and we can modify it. But at least we need to know what's wrong with them, if any.
You're filibustering.
Okay.
Leonora, the 135,000 from health insurance is covered. We're okay with that. All right.
I have a question. How do we have $135,000 in health insurance? What's that from?
From vacancies, probably.
The over budget, so right now, I was tracking it's about 28 a month. So this would be a little bit what's left over.
So vacancies? So we're not gonna hire anybody now, right?
Are you looking at me?
No, vacancies, the people
No.
that we haven't been paying premiums on for the first 4 or 5 months. But also, when we do the budget, don't forget, it's a projected increase. It's not an actual increase. So the state gives us a number, and obviously it came in higher than what it was, or what they ended up being.
We guesstimate for health insurance because we never get the actuals until after the budget is passed.
So this is good news, right?
Yeah, so whatever extra we would have had in health insurance is now into the city
Dam.
dam project.
Hoover Dam.
Right. Which I go back to the previous resolution, is that Mr. Tawil now sees another source.
Can't even get
$30
can't even get a
difference.
washer and dryer over here at the fire department.
We should do.
Try my best to stay within the budget.
Thank you. Leonora, she's being
That's why we
very,
hired you.
she's being very proactive, and I appreciate her
She is,
help with
yeah.
this.
Some might call it being an enabler.
No, she understands the urgency of these studies, and that's why she's helping out.
All
To
right.
find the source of funding, which I really
Roll call
appreciate.
vote, Massey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Aye, vote yes.
Thank you.
All right, could you please sit down now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Senator Gunther and Senator Skoufis have introduced the legislation in the New York State Legislature that would establish the Middletown Parking Authority. The bills are listed, requesting from the Board of Estimate the approval, the Common Council to support the approval of these two bills by the state legislature and authorize the appropriate city officials to sign, seal, and transmit to the Assembly and the Senate the necessary home rule request forms regarding the proposed legislation. Motion by myself,
Second.
seconded by Rodriguez. This is a request, home rule request that I made on behalf of the city. If you recall, we used to have, years ago, we had a parking authority in anticipation that we were going to be building
Peter?
constructing parking garages. And that was probably 20, 25 years ago. And it was dissolved because we didn't use it. We now have the grants from Senator Skoufis. We anticipate building the garage this year. The parking authority, Leonora can give us some of the immediate benefits, but not, this is not definitive, right? But you'll have more research on Tuesday. is we believe that the debt incurred by the authority is not city debt, but it's parking authority debt. And we can use fees from the parking authority that would be, parking garage fees would be dedicated to that fund. It's similar to what we had talked about when we were looking at Canal Street. So it's a good thing for the city, requires a little bit more auditing, a little bit more reporting, but and it requires a board, but Leonora will give a full report on Tuesday night.
Would that also include meters down?
I believe you can do certain things under the parking authority, but the purpose of what we're doing right now
Just for parking garage.
is for the parking structure to, when we move on the grant. I don't think there's any movement right now to do parking meters downtown, but I know long range, it's always a possibility. I did go to Newburgh Waterfront a couple weeks ago, and it cost me $4.15
Would you go back?
a little over 2 hours. And be honest with you, the parking lot was empty, so I wasn't really happy with paying $4 to. Mr. Massey I'll take the $5. But I mean, I think sometimes it can be a deterrent, especially if your place is not busy. So, but our purpose is parking structure, parking garage, not meters. So I had a motion by me, seconded by Rodriguez. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item 7, Leonora Liz requesting the Board of Estimate to authorize a temporary part-time cashier, Lori Banks, former employee. Lori will assist the Treasury Department while the current cashier is on leave. The position pays $28 an hour for 3 days a week, only during collections. Motion by myself,
Second.
seconded by Rodriguez. Any questions? Everyone understands one employee is on part-time leave. Lori's going to be covering the time. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Water adjustments, I have none, or do I?
Yeah, there's
Yep,
one.
okay. 38-40 Jackson Avenue, one family, 2 leak letters and left 2 door knockers. Let's see what the issue is. Went from 24,000 up to 44,000. It doesn't say anything about any leak, but let me read the letter. Sharice Porter, I'm the owner of the 38. I've lived there for 6 years. My water bill quarterly has been between $290 and $345. She said I had my bathroom toilet flapper when flushed would not align back to where it was open. I opened the tank. The water was no longer running. She received this high bill. There is an error because I didn't receive any additional notices. That large volume of usage is ridiculous. I cannot afford to pay this bill and would like this issue corrected. I did not have any repairs done, nor did I receive any notices after I aligned the flapper. So did it go back down? I don't see in the next period, we don't know.
We don't know, it just
Yeah,
was.
so I think we just have to wait
4-1.
and see what her,
Hold off.
I would advise her to get somebody to come in and check it.
Change the flapper anyway.
Yeah. But we don't know, she says it's not running, but she might not know that it's running. So we'll table it until the next meeting and have water department contact her. Jacob, is there anything you guys put like a thing
He can
in the water?
do a survey or a study.
What, man? We're gonna hire an engineer to do a study like that.
Oh.
We only hire
Started.
we only hire CDM. There's no other people to do any other work.
38-40 Jackson Avenue, maybe you could talk with the water department. It seems like homeowner's a little confused on the next step. A little dye, yeah.
Food dye in the toilet
Yeah.
toilet, use the flapper still.
You're the fire chief, right?
He's a plumber too.
That's correct.
Listen to the plumber, fire chief. Listen to the undertaker, fire chief.
Motion to
So moved.
adjourn. So moved by Massey, seconded by